Happy Friday, everybody. This week's Inventor Tips. I actually got quite a few questions on how I actually got a part sourced so quickly last week. And so I want to go ahead and just show you the overview of what that looks like. So let's go ahead and do into my fun little studio here. And, first and foremost, we want to make sure that, we're starting with a CAD software, right? And so, I am a professional engineer. I've done engineering for 15 years, all the way up through military stuff I can't talk about. And, doing DFM, you'll hear it, is something you want to do as soon as possible. You'll hear we do DFM later. What they mean by DFM later is while you're designing it, because what you did prior to DFM was validate whether or not your problem has an actual market, right? And this is where it gets a little blurred and a little confusing sometimes with inventors is they go, well, am I designing something? Am I doing the manufacturing? Or am I, investigating whether or not, people want to buy this, so on and so forth. But it gets complicated. Let's just source a part and tell you how you can actually do some of your own design to help you communicate what it is you're trying to doing before you would talk to somebody like me who can actually convert what is a concept into a manufacturable item. So in the case of, what we have going on here, here's a small assembly. And what we do here is, we got this part. This is what holds it to the actual sock. So we're going to just open this part here and take a quick peek at it. So I obviously have some features in here. So this is obviously designed, if you know anything about manufacturing, this is a turning operation. So a very simple little copper part here. But what we do, and I use SolidWorks, and I want to give you a couple options here. Other than so this is very expensive. This cost me about $2,500 a year for this software package. But there are considerable other options in this space that you can utilize. So if you just go to Google and you search what am I looking for? Cloud-based CAD software. So CAD being computer aided drafting. We got quite a few options up here. So you got Onshape, you got drawing software. There's some really in Autodesk. What I recommend is, if you don't want to pay for a full software package, Autodesk Fusion 360 is a really good option. That's $680 for an annual license. You're talking inventing here. You're going to spend some money. Some of you are really hesitant to spend some money. You think you're going to make money without spending money. That doesn't work. So you got to put in some effort. You got to put some skin in the game or nobody's going to take you seriously. And I'm going to say that about 25,000 times through the course of this YouTube channel and exercise. So Fusion 360, really good option. They do some nice features for doing design work. Again, I know you're not trying to be an engineer. You're not trying to learn everything there is about manufacturing. It would be too much, but you can mess with this, create some boxes, create some simple things to communicate your idea to somebody who can take it from there and move it forward. So, I use SolidWorks, but there is a SolidWorks Lite. This is SolidWorks for makers. This is intended to be for people who are maybe usually just messing around with 3D printers and having a little bit of fun. But you can, again, communicate your idea to an attorney. You can communicate your idea to an engineer using this software. And then they got a bunch of fun little tutorials and say, hey, I want a thing over here and another thing over here. This is metal. This is plastic. Again, quit giving yourself all these big rules. Quit giving yourself all these constraints that you don't know how to do it. You're just trying to communicate in a particular way, right? And there's also a classic, pencil and paper is also works too. And we're going to talk about that later. So this is another good software tool. But there are some red herrings here. So I want to make sure people get a little oriented here. So there's this thing called Autodesk, and Autodesk has some great software, but they have got Tinkercad. Tinkercad is exactly kind of what it sounds like. It's for tinkering. It is not really for any kind of meaty, detailed design work. So there's a couple guys and gals in here that are doing some interesting work, but most of this would be like, I want to have a little bit of fun with my 3D printer. I want to create some cool things to show people. So I would avoid Tinkercad. And then more a high-end option if you want to be somewhere above SolidWorks or below SolidWorks Enterprise, but above Fusion 360, Onshape is got some pretty good features here. So these are really, really powerful tools where you can get everything from draft angles to machine parts, fillets, operations, all that rendering, so on and so forth. But let's say you communicated it, you have your part, in our case, there's the legs and the heim joint, and we're going to just source this part here. We're just going to get a cost for it because we're making a prototype. We're making a one-off. We want to keep this pretty simple. So where do you source it? What options do you have to physically get this part made if you can't make it yourself, which is going to be 99.999% of you, right? Let's dig. So if you go onto Google and you search for a couple big companies, one being Protolabs. Protolabs is a pretty famous outlet. They do sort of instant turn parts. Upload, you want to go on, create an account. They do just about everything. They can do sheet metal. They do injection molding. They do, tools, machine parts. Really, really, really fantastic service. But you are going to pay. You're going to pay a lot of money for all of these quick, convenient manufacturing, like CAD to part showing up at your door. So be ready for that. This is not the most cost-effective way to build something. This is a very cost-effective way to do prototypes quickly when you take into account time. So Protolabs is a good one. Another one is called Quick Parts. So I'm going to use Quick Parts here because it's just a really simple example. So, when you log into Quick Parts, you create a simple account. You've got a couple options here, new prototype, production, which is nice if you're looking for higher volume stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and actually include, I have some existing parts here that I'm quoting, and it's very, very simple. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, where is it? Back. I want to add a part to this process. Edit. Add part. There we go. I'm sorry, everybody. So I'm going to choose this file. So remember that single little part that we got. So that was a part number is 1008. And so I'm going to go back to this and go to 1008. That's my leg support, right? And then I'm just going to upload that part. It's in inches to this file here. And by default, most of these online systems by default are assuming you want 3D printing. This is the majority of what people buy on this stuff. But you want to go ahead and obviously change that stuff. So we're going to go in, and we don't want stereolithography. We want a CNC part. We want it out of aluminum. These are all things that you can get help. And yes, we have a single tap hole. It's a 5/16/18. That we'll have to specify a drawing on. But very, very simple. And look at our piece price is up here. It's a little hard to see, but let me zoom in a little bit for you. And there you go. So we've got $220 for a single one-off part. Let's say you were ordering 10 of them. Piece price comes down to $84. So that's all I did with the little copper part. And it's quite convenient. But again, you pay a lot of money for these pieces. So you're going to probably pay 2 or 3 times the piece price you would in a higher volume, maybe a more local shop. Definitely paying more than you will internationally, but that's not including what it costs to get the part over here. And quality is all over the map sometimes. So these parts are usually, I would call, most these online platforms do a decent job with quality. Things like surface finish and really detailed stuff is something maybe it's a little beyond some prototype level things, but that's how you do it. And you would simply just create a cart and buy it. One key thing here that's really critical is none of this works at all if you don't design for manufacturing. And most people spend way, way, way too much time on IP, way too early, and they do DFM, design for manufacturing, way too late. Right? So they get all the way through this concept, all the way through this marketing, all the way through the business case and all this stuff. And then they go, okay, now I got to figure out how to make it. and they have a monstrosity design bill to change what their idea was supposed to be into what it can actually be. So no magic. There's no magic allowed. You have to do design for manufacturing, and the sooner you do it, or the sooner you connect with somebody who knows how to do it, the lower total cost it's going to be to get your product out the door. So anyways, I thought that was kind of a fun little, that's just a really, really quick and easy way to source parts. There's also another one here. So it's Eccentric. This is actually a Michigan company. They do very similar stuff. They're really good with injection molding. And then if you're looking for, one other quick little example here, say not all companies do the same thing. So here is a Lexan, a acrylic water jet part that I'm going to be making for a customer here. It's just a very simple flat 2D thing that they're going to, a laser just goes along the profile, right? And you spec the thickness, and that's all there is to it. So really, really simple. And so there's another company here that I'll show you is, again, very, very similar. So this is called Send, Cut, Set, and it's the exact same thing, right? And so what they want is, you upload it. If the DFM is good, it will produce a price for you, and then you can simply pay for that price. So that particular part, which is a very simple part in quantity of 12, is $10.10 a piece. So, I can zoom in there. So here it is right here. So I defined acrylic. It's clear. It's 3 millimeters thick, which I don't usually use millimeters, but this is the only option they particularly had. So I got to update the design. And here's your piece price and your total price down here. So you just add to cart and they zap it for you. So anyway, I hope that was a cool little fun video on how to source things here in the US in very simple ways. And keep in mind, if it can't be made, you're not going to have a product. So have a great Friday, and we'll talk more next week. Take care.